Charlie Kirk is killed, and immediately thereafter, this becomes the rationale, the stated rationale for the Trump administration to crack down on the media and on free speech, or as he says, leftist speech. There is nothing, there's no pretense here. They have made this announcement. J.D. Vance is out there shilling for this, but Trump too has made it clear we are going to go after the leftist media, leftist speech. So, and I don't, and the way they went after Kimmel in this instance is that the FCC chair started to object to this, and that spread to affiliates. Affiliates are the television stations that carry the Kimmel show. One of the big affiliates is in the middle of a merger, which they will need approval from.
That's Nexstar.
From the Trump administration. So therefore, they immediately came out and said, yes, we're not going to carry the Kimmel show. And then Disney, who owns ABC, the network that Kimmel is on, then they immediately announced this indefinite suspension, and that would have come from the top, from the CEO, Bob Iger. And, and it's, I mean, you have to step back and say, here is Bob Iger, the billionaire CEO of the most powerful entertainment company in the world, immediately, with hardly a second thought, cowering before the desires of the Trump administration.
Or is this a CEO making a very practical decision that his stock has underperformed the S&P? He can't afford to lose Nexstar as an affiliate, or indeed Sinclair, which is another affiliate. Both Nexstar and Sinclair are conservatively led, and he's making a pragmatic business decision.
Well, I think it's the same thing, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I mean, he realizes that the ire of Donald Trump will be bad for business. And so therefore we submit to that. Now, I mean, it used to be not that long ago that media companies, because they are media companies, because they have to maintain no matter their shareholders' interests, there is their audience interest. There are many other stakeholders in a media company, and they have to maintain credibility. If you lose that, then you lose the store, would have been the old rationale on this. In this instance, now, if you lose Donald Trump, you lose the store.
I would be fascinated to be a fly inside Bob Iger's inbox this morning. Also a man in his 70s, also a man who gave up power and gave up being CEO and then came back after a famous battle with the guy he put in to replace him, Bob Chapek. One of the reasons he gave for...
Not a name that many people remember at this point, but very good.
Well, but one of the reasons and one of the rationale for Bob Iger coming back was that Disney was beginning to lose the creative community. The creative community, for the most part, loved Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is a rare late-night television politician who actually lives in L.A. He makes pizza at home with Bob Iger. They are personal friends.
Also, let me point out that he's one of the few late-night comedians who has been able to maintain the comic edge about Donald Trump. Other late-night comedians have veered off into outrage, and Kimmel has managed to maintain his focus on the absurdity.
Well, there's also Jon Stewart and John Oliver, right?
I think they're in outrage territory. Not that I would necessarily fault them. I mean, that's where we're all going to end up. But the ability to maintain that focus on absurdity is a comic touch which I think Kimmel deserves an enormous amount of credit for.
Well, what's also interesting is that Kimmel is very much thought of, I think, at Disney or ABC as a team player. I mean, this is the guy that hosts the Oscars when nobody else will. I've been to the upfronts, the big ad festival where the TV companies turn up and sell their future shows, and he's been a host of that and funny and taken, poked at advertisers and made the whole thing a show in a way that a lot of other networks can't do. So for them to sacrifice a team player like this also seems significant. But then Disney may go on to lose the creative community over this. I mean, I understand that they don't want to lose the Trump and they want FCC approval for whatever M&A they may have in their future. But this does feel like a moment.
I do, and if we put I began. I've spent most of my career as writing about the media, and if I put that, or at least prior to writing about Donald Trump, and if I put that hat on, I would say that this is probably a deeply an unforced error that will cost Bob Iger. Likely, let me go on a limb here, cost him his job.
So interesting, because the person within Disney who is thought likely to take over from him is Dana Walden, probably the most powerful female executive in Hollywood, very much admired. And of course, the complexity here is that she is well known to be Kamala Harris's best friend.
Grim. That's a grim corporate bit of politics. But I think unless someone breaks from this, I think they'll both go down. This is there's a lot of things in the reaction to Trump, the reflexive reaction, the knee-jerk reaction that's just serious, unthought out, knuckleheaded stuff. And I think that's a reflection of how afraid people are of Donald Trump.
Well, let's then just examine the dinner last night, the famous white tie dinner, which looked spectacular, I will say, watching it online and on television. Stunning flowers, everybody dressed to the nines. One was very cognizant of Prince Charles's lapel full of medals and Donald Trump having no medals. I'm sure he's going to come back and say, I want a jacket like that with some medals on it. But also round the table were some of America's most senior executives. You had Tim Cook from Apple, Satya Nadella from Microsoft, Sam Altman from OpenAI. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? I mean, I can only interpret this. I mean, first thing, Tim Cook shows up at all of these things. The billionaire CEO of arguably the most important company in the world, and also sitting next to Tiffany Trump. I was like, what are they talking about? Why is he doing this? I don't. So I can only assume that they get together and say, my God, this guy Trump is easy to play, and all it requires is us to do some ritual bows and say some baloney, and then we get what we want. And isn't it a great day for business? I mean, that's the only thing that I can assume. It cannot possibly be that they think Donald Trump is anything other than a clown, a fool, a charlatan. I mean, I know that's what they think. That is literally what everyone who comes in contact with Donald Trump thinks, even his supporters. So again, that's it. And then the Brits on their part, who are desperate for a trade deal. So everybody got together and decided, okay, we're gonna treat Donald Trump as the real king. One of the things that people always say about an encroaching autocracy, and they always talk about Putin like this is that when Putin first took over, the thing that got cancelled first was a puppet show, a comedic puppet show on Russian television. And you talked a couple of weeks ago on the podcast about this being a frightening moment, and this could actually be what autocracy looks like, that it's not people with jackboots marching down the street. It is Jimmy Kimmel being cancelled. Jimmy Kimmel, of all people, in third place as a late-night comedian on ABC.
I mean, and it would be wrong to start there, to mark this at the beginning. It has begun long before this, or it began before he actually came into office for his second term, and that was forcing ABC into a settlement. That was $15 million that went into Trump's pocket. It was one of those things that certainly, had they gone to a trial, ABC would have won. Actually, they would never even have gotten to a trial. But ABC, again, ABC, which is owned by Disney, so this is the Kimmel issue is not the first issue that ABC has folded on, and they folded on the Stephanopoulos issue, and then CBS, which was in the process of a merger with a David Ellison, who was the nepo baby son of Larry Ellison, who vies with Elon Musk for the title of richest man in the world.
Right, the founder of Oracle and soon to be owner of TikTok.
Right. So they did. CBS believed that in order to facilitate that deal, they had to settle, because Trump had sued 60 Minutes because he didn't like the way he thought that they had edited an interview with Kamala Harris in too favorable a way.
The trailer was different to what they actually put out in the interview, right?
Yes. Again, another absolutely frivolous lawsuit that Trump would have lost. But because of this, because CBS was highly aware of the pressure he could bring that might block this merger, they settle. Now, we should also add that the Ellisons, father and son, are now trying also to buy Warner Discovery, which would make them, by far the largest media company in the world. Although, having said that, I think Disney may still be larger. But Larry Ellison also, let's remember, has been a very key and ardent supporter of Donald Trump.
Well, and may well get the ownership of TikTok, right, which we're expecting to hear. Donald Trump is speaking to Xi Jinping tomorrow. And in theory, he's going to come away with a solve for the TikTok issue. It's going to have American ownership. So
So let's just imagine. First thing, we have a media business. Most of the major news that would include most of the major news outlets in the country, already running scared of Donald Trump. Scared. They are bowing down. Trump brings pressure, they fold. We put that together with the fact that the Ellison family, passionate supporters of Donald Trump, are about to corner the media market.
Well, and they're about to own CBS. Well, they do own CBS News, and if they buy Warner Brothers Discovery, they will have CNN.
There you go.
So 2 significant news channels.
Yeah, no, this is put up the red flag at this. This is a moment which I think we will return to.